Years ago, in theology, one of the classical textbooks that we had spoke of the way in which one of the proofs of the authenticity of the Gospels and of the Acts was the fact that they had in them things which discredited those who were involved. They were accurate portraits, as that king said, "Paint me warts and all." And I remember our professor telling us that if one compares the Gospels with, for instance, the Quran, the Gospels defend themselves very well as historic documents. And we have therefore on side history and serene science, nothing to be afraid of in the defence of our faith. It's accurate. And therefore when we see these internal squabbles, we see how accurate it is, and how accurate the observation of human life already was, because this careerism is going to plague the church right through the centuries. It's still there. Let's make no illusion. I remember hearing this years ago. It was a bishop who was telling his candidates, or even a seminary professor, just before ordination, "Now you have your life before you. Choose what you want to be, a priest or a bishop." That was a subtle and powerful dig. Because the Lord himself tries, in his serene reaction to this request for glory, to indicate where glory actually lies, and how he himself had abdicated the kenosis, the self-emptying of the Son of Man, which the true saints have picked up. St. Gregory, one of the greatest popes that we had, servus servorum Dei, servant of the servants of God. And I've seen over the years pontiffs, abbots, who have been well modelled on this. I recall when I was 20 being exposed to a humble abbot who after 10 years himself eclipsed himself and did not want to be abbot any longer. He was always with his community. Even as abbot he would spend the afternoon in manual work. He would not excuse himself from the chores. He was never outside the monastery, he was there for his brethren. But he would write to me when I was a student, away in university, waiting to enter. And then, after retiring early in life, way before the time, what did he do? He looked for all the cleaning equipment and made sure that the cloister and the key parts were spick and span. The ex-abbot never said a thing in chapter, eclipsed himself. He just wanted to be a hidden Trappist, and so he was until death. Even our own bishop actually has something of that. Bishop Michael Smith. The reason why our diocese is so peaceful is that he was bishop for many, many years and ordained about 100 people. And he had time for everyone. He knew everyone's name. He would always write back by return of post. Every letter was answered. And he still comes here every month. He has time for his people. That's what a true pastor is. And it has an impact. Far more than the great administrator who can't be got. And so this is what the Lord wants for his people. Those who are not in any way on some career. He wasn't. He knew what was ahead of him from childhood onwards. As regards the subtle sin of the degrees of pride, starts with a certain vainglory, and then on it goes to fundamental pride, which is a participation in the sin of Lucifer ultimately, self-sufficiency. It's there, but it's more awkward in the subtle bits. Here it's hardly subtle, but it's clever. because we are actually able to be proud in being ostensibly humble. Just indirectly get glory. Even in protestations of humility, which are false, it's far more authentically humble to recognize something which is there from God. And also the test comes in when we're criticized. What happens there with our protestations of humility? Our feathers are very ruffled very quickly, and that's the litmus test. And so it is that we need to purify our intention. So Teresa of Avila indicated that what contaminated the whole of our religious life was self-respect and impurity of intention. It can happen in liturgy. There's a story told in the Desert Fathers about one monk with a beautiful voice, and he was chanting away at the synax, the brethren were admiring his voice. And one of the brethren was shown a demon at the back of the abbey church, beating time and grinning. Who are we serving in church? All these extraordinary ministers who want to be there, even when there's no need whatsoever for them to be there. All these people who love to be heard reading. Some actually don't even need the sanctuary. I've seen that happen elsewhere. People just won't go away from the sanctuary. Why? Even with the Lord's service, we're looking after ourselves. I conclude, if we knew what we were, we would cease to, as it were, exist. The humus is humble, it can be trodden upon, its feathers are not ruffled. The Lord himself was not in the least bit ruffled before Herod, who finished off, of course, the saint of this day, James. Why should we be so concerned about our all-important glory? San Giacomo, il primo degli Apostoli, avere parte al calice del Signore. E come da lì ha ben capito la parola del Signore. Vediamo che come questo è ben pensato. Uno a sinistra e uno a destra, di maniera che escluda San Pietro, che rischiava di essere il primo. Il carrierismo già nella vita ecclesiastica, che è sempre stata lì, purtroppo, nella vita, fino ad oggi. L'umiltà non è rumorosa. La vera umiltà non si vede, ma è lì. La persona umile nasconde la sua gloria, non parla di se stesso, non trova i modi di essere visto, di essere il centro, l'attenzione. Anche la vita monastica di clausura, qualche volta se c'è una recreazione si vede l'assenza di umiltà quando c'è un persona qui o là che capita, prende tutta la recreazione per sé, parla molto. È un teatro in cui ha la sua gloria. E mi ricordo aver letto questo, anche sentito da mio maestro di vizio in Francia, come il canto può essere un motivo di vanagloria e di orgoglio. C'era nel deserto un uomo con una brillante voce, cantava nella sinax del Signore e gli altri monaci ammiravano. Però fu mostrato a un monaco santo, ha visto un demonio, un diavolo dietro la chiesa del monastero che sorrideva e batteva il tempo. E noi? Tanti ministri straordinari che vogliono essere a tutti i costi lì in centro all'altare, tanti lettori che non anche ne vogliono andare via. La gloria indirettamente cercata nella vita della Chiesa. Però il test è quando siamo o lodati o criticati. Lodati, la falsa umiltà protesta, fa le protestazioni rumorose. La vera accetta con gratitudine e fa riferimento all'autore che ha dato tutti i doni. Invece si vede se c'è umiltà o no, quando c'è la critica che arriva, allora che cosa fanno? Facciamo noi? Subito cerchiamo immediatamente la gloria, la giustificazione. Perché? Perché abbiamo la visione degli uomini. Si perde tanta pace perché manca l'umiltà, perché l'umiltà è libera, riceve la vita come viene, riceve il buono e il meno buono e non è offuscato da qualsiasi cosa umana, di gloria di un'altra persona, perché la gloria non è cercata negli uomini. Vede Gesù che fu anche atrocemente trattato e non neanche rispondeva.
Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, espes nostra salve. A te clamamus, exurex Filii Eve, a te suspiramus, gementes et flentes, in ac lacrimarum vale. Media ergo advocata nostra, vinos tuos misericordes oculos, annos converte. Et Iesu benedictum fructum ventris tui, nobis post exilium ostende. O clemens, o pia, o dulcis Virgo